from that side of the room when this gets underway.
Oh, there's no two ways about it. We're going to be hearing from these teams, absolutely, and they're going to be hearing from each other, I would imagine. I wouldn't expect anything less. Bans start coming in. It's going to be Flores to go first.
We spoke a lot about the Flores bans that we've seen over the last few days. Teams targeting it against specific teams that like using it. We've referred to, I believe it was Dan1K, use it on one of their maps about 80% of the time, but this is a spicier ban. The Sledge coming out. Yeah, I mean, we know that's a really popular pick for Achieved on this team, right? It's his go-to bread and butter operator. And given the nade meta that we're in right now, where Sledge fits into pretty much any lineup, that may well remove a couple of frags if you've got to bring along something like a Buck instead.
Well, you know, we've seen the development of this, you know, I'm not going to call it a frag meta, but we're certainly seeing a lot of frags. It's not the whole top and bottom of everything, but we're seeing success with them. We're seeing kills with them. Get underneath, use your nades, get them to explode just below the floor, and they get the kills. So it's going to be interesting to see this played out without. Obviously, there's still Finker, there's still Iana, there's still Maverick, there's still operators there that are going to bring along those gadgets in place of the Sledge. But on Villa, when you're on those lower floor sites particularly, you want your Sledge as well. So that's maybe going to get us seeing some Buck, or you could bring other soft breach options, use your soft breach chargers, for example. Maybe an Ash creeps in. I think the Sledge, we're going to see here how important Sledge has become recently, in that we're going to see a few operator picks that we wouldn't normally because he's not there.
Tim, this is TSM's Matt Pitreich. So why have DarkZero chosen to start on the attack again?
Maybe they're confident, Des.
That's it. The mind game. We're confident. That's what you're riding on with this. Yep. Okay. I'll believe you. I'll back you on this one, but I imagine TSM were giggling to themselves with delight like a child in a candy shop at the thought of getting to start on defense here on Villa. We'll see how they start things off. It's inside Aviator and Games. The Bandit and the Mirror on side, also looking in towards that Frost that we don't see a whole ton on this map.
I mean, in theory, starting side shouldn't really matter. You know, technically you do get the same chance.
I do hear this argument a lot.
But there is a big but here, and that's when that halfway mark comes. If you're 5-1, 6-0 down, that is not the same as going in to your defensive half 0-0. You know, in reality, it's not. There is that mental proponent, but you'd still do potentially get that same opportunity. Heading into round one then, it's going to be Aviator games. We're going to have the defensive, and as I said, some interesting pickups already. We've got Geo on the castle, we've got a Bandit in play, we've got a Frost on Charla, we've got the Mirror brought along by Merc, and I like what I'm seeing. We've got TSM stacking up towards the north side. Definitely playing into a potential DarkZero push from that side of the map, but Eclipse is getting himself straight up to join Hyper and NJ on the south side. They're lower floor, he's upper deck. He's going to get himself onto the balcony and start looking in towards Study as the setup continues still 40 seconds into the round for TSM.
This is probably more that adaptable setup that we saw coming in our game earlier on that we cast today, where it was about the 2-minute mark where we had the team of M&M actually putting down their final mirror in the basement of Oregon. They were waiting to see where the attack came from. So clearly feeling they have a better idea on this one. That's why TSM have chosen to hold on to it until they get a sniff at where the attack is coming in. Either they've spotted a couple out on the Study balcony, or they've just heard the window getting smashed open and thought, you know what, that's return. That's what happens when you ban away his Sledge. Even if he's on the defense, he's going to feel a little bit stinted. Great first kill coming in, and a good start for DarkZero in the round.
It is a great start there, achieved suffering to time in there. It wasn't really missed shot. He saw the arm as the nade was about to get released, but then the animation of releasing that nade just took him back into safety, and Hyper able to react very quickly to get the kill onto the Bandit. 5 versus 4 and a lot of pressure coming from that Study side, Des, and the thing is, that's DarkZero not playing into TSM's utility, so right now those reinforcements, mirrors, anything else on that north side is all for nothing if they're going to push in through Study.
These mirror windows have been cracked open, so life should be a little bit easier if you're on the side of DarkZero. We get towards that final 60 seconds and things are going to have to speed up. They're squaring up for a push to coming up the Mirrored stairs. Misses out on the Gon 6. It doesn't stop NGR from charging his way forward here with Hyper. The two big fraggers on this team stepping forward and looking to make magic happen. That line of fire straight through the soft wall. Down goes Geo. NJR carrying on his march towards victory, looking for a second. It's the Mirror sat inside towards his left on the other side of map's table. Bolo looking to come and hit them on the flank. Merc finding one onto NJR. No doubt the call coming in that yes, they are on the red stairs. So all Bolo's got to do is tuck in and wait for the next call to move to shut down Hyper.
DZ working well here from both sides, but Merc manages to level things up. Bolo finds Pamba, and this means trouble for DarkZero. Des, it was looking good. They were getting themselves into study. They had red stairs, but they never dealt with the north side. We talk about how that avoided the utility, but it didn't avoid the operators, and that is where they get punished from as Bolo moves back across, but Eclipse finds him, levels it up 2 for 2. Eclipse gets himself another onto Merc. This game is going to be explosive from minute 1. That much is clear. Pressure on the bar door. Canadian finds Chola, and DarkZero take their first attack on Villa. Hands up. Hands up. Who had DarkZero winning the first attacking round on Villa against TSM?
And who had Canadian being the one that wins the 1 versus 1?
And I don't believe anybody's got the hands up right now.
You just knew. As soon as I saw it was him stepping in for the fight, I was like, if he wins this, he's going off. And sure enough, turns to bark over towards TSM, basically saying, sit the hell down. We're here to play. Great first round from DarkZero. It did look a little bit dicey, admittedly, as the mid-round settled in. They had their push coming up red stairs. It sort of fell to tatters as Bolo picked off Pamba. NJR fell by the wayside. It looked a little bit thin on the ground. It came down to that very final 1v1 after a couple of kills swung their way, though. The Canadian, not normally the one you'd expect to win in a situation like that, but does closes out the round, and DarkZero find a critical attacking round win. Rather than repeating Aviator games, TSM are now going to step up to the north side of the map and will be defending inside of Trophy and Statuary.
Yep, going to switch things up immediately. Obviously not happy with what went on Aviator Games there. I like what DarkZero did. As I said, a lot of investment was made on that north side, and they just basically went up red stairs, cut the map in half instead. We're not going to play into it. They did lose a couple of lives from there, but ultimately, all's well that ends well. They had that split push coming in from north and south side, and it was just a little too hot to handle for TSM. Bolo's going to be playing underneath on the Valkyrie this time. Nitro in hand, so we may well find him keeping himself down there, looking for Nitros, but also potentially looking to just keep operators out of Kitchen and Dining, particularly for as long as possible.
They've lent on that Jackal for a couple of rounds too, and don't blame them at all, you know, it's a good flex operator to bring along here. Where you don't have the sledge on side, you can still do the work of opening up the floor underneath you with the ITA shotgun, the secondary the Jackal brings along in his arsenal. You also have the smoke grenades, and when you haven't got something like a Twitch on side, which we're seeing more and more teams bring, it's just a bit of added juice when it comes round to the execute. So 3 roles being filled by Pamba here, the Roma Hunter, the smokes for when they go for the execute, and of course the gadget for dealing down with the Romas overall. It's just looking good that he has so much to offer to the team.
NJR's looking to get himself into Kitchen and Dining, as suggested. He's going to be playing into Information, I would imagine, unless they manage to spot out the Valkyrie cameras that Bolo was down there placing. So there's going to be a little bit of information for TSM to work for, at least. Now, interestingly, Gio had himself positioned down on the main stairs. He was just keeping himself out of the way, and this could be a problem if he's not identified. He's actually moved himself up now into Study and Maps area, so he's not going to be too much of a threat to NJR down on the lower floor there. Pretty safe to do a little bit of work and start getting rid of some utility at the minute. No big challenge coming on the ground floor from TSM, Des.
Yeah, not looking to meet them, which, as I spoke about several times today, is a choice they've made, and they accept there may well be consequences. Consequence number 1, coming in towards Achieved as he eats a whole ton of damage off his HP bar as a grenade from below connects in. The second one, not quite doing enough damage, but Canadian knows that he's done a bit of a tickle on towards Achieved's health bar. By conceding it, they do enable this kind of play. The ITA from below, like I mentioned, coming out of Pamba. The shotgun, the grenades coming in, as well, from Hyper and Canadian. The impacts from NJR. Really, if DarkZero don't find a vertical kill in some sense here, or a way of moving defenders about without that Jackal, they're missing out on a massive opportunity that TSM have given to them for free.
Achieved is just on such low health at the minute, trying to play against that wall. We see Merc having to dip back as his Wamai Magnet is going to eat up that nade. Bolo eats up Pambazoo there with a headshot, finding the first kill of the round. That's going to be 5-4 in favour of the defenders then, but Hyper, a beautiful little peek. It didn't need a headshot as Achieved was on low health anyway, but you know what? He's going to style it out and take it anyway. Levels things up 4-4. Bolo taking damage. Merc, however, is the one with the next lethal shot, this time onto Eclipse. 4 versus 3 DarkZero. 15 seconds left to go, need to get moving. Cannot do it! Bolo, Merc, Gio. It's a trifecta of kills that rain in at the end of the round, and that's going to be TSM leveling things up, and the shouts, they're just as loud.
Well, Merc was so busy shouting he didn't get his fist bump, and he turned around like, wait, coach, sorry, I'm sorry, come back. Too late by then. Pojo had moved on. He had other things to be dealing with. Some great shots coming in that round. The one from Hyper that you just saw on screen a second ago, absolutely beautiful onto the gem that was Achieve's head. Got the shutout, and ultimately time ran a bit too low for DarkZero to be able to be patient anymore. We're forced to push in, and TSM get the closeout. We rotate now into the offside, so no AVG repeat coming in for TSM at all. Instead, just going straight onto the downstairs. This time it's going to be Canadian playing Jackal duties, and I expect you'll see him again playing on that vertical, making use of the ITA, because they'll need that in this round if they're going to be successful. They've clocked themselves to go into the offside because we've also got 6 breaching rounds in the back pockets of a couple of operators on the team, looking to help them open things up. I imagine that's the Ace and the Zofia.
Round number 3, it will be then 1 apiece, and I mean, I think all of us are hoping for a little bit of an NA throwdown here. We want these teams absolutely wailing on each other, and it looks like we might just get a little bit of that action. DarkZero actually not looking too bad so far. They're on the pace, they're finding the kills, and it's been close for the first couple of rounds, down to the final 10 seconds there before TSM could mop them up in round 2. Round number 3 is going to see TSM defending on the lower floor this time. This is where we're really going to see maybe a bit of a difference with the sledge not being available. We would normally expect him to get into the top floor, open up all that floor. This time instead, as you can see, on NJR and Eclipse, they have both brought along those soft breach chargers. That's your alternative. They've got 6 of them. They get them in there. They're going to rip the floor up. They've also got the impact grenades for NJR as his special gadget as well. So there's a lot of work that can still be done on those soft surfaces.
Absolutely, yeah. Just doubling down on that point as well, because it's going to be the pivotal part. We said in the last round, really, they needed to be making use of the below, failed to do so, lost the round. I'm not saying it's the only reason, but it was definitely a key factor. You've got Achieved who's lurking around downstairs here too, looking to cause a bit of trouble off towards the south side. More of a perimeter player than so much being on a full roam. He's just there to kind of be the welcome party. Hand you a glass of champagne as you step in towards the site and say, welcome to the party, good sir. For who it is that he welcomes first and foremost, it's going to be down to decide in the next 30 seconds or so. As they start stepping their way forwards, even Merc may be able to give them a bit of a hint of, hey, these guys are coming from this direction, be ready, and look to maybe toss a C4 out to stop them.
I think it's important to mention what's at stake here for DarkZero as well. Of course, TSM going very well so far, but points in the group have been few and far between for DarkZero up to this point. They are in the mix with BDS and Elevate, fighting over that 4th position potentially, and who will go through to the playoffs. So DarkZero, every point matters here. Every map that they can win could be crucial. They've got another game to play tomorrow. It is going to be down to the wire for them, so really this is an opportunity for a good performance. It's a team that they're very familiar with. You know, they should know exactly what they're expecting coming into this one.
It's kind of BDS they're warring with at that bottom side of the table as well, who I believe are playing on the other stream. So lots to be still said for this group. It's far from a closed case. It all depends how many points they can get from the respective maps. They're all playing in over these 2 best of 3s. They see the side of the arm. Canadian narrowly getting a bit of a tag down, but not enough to put any real threat onto Chala. Steps things away. About from that point, knows that he can challenge across as and when. Canadian losing more than he really bargained for in that exchange.
Pamba's still got himself locked into those red stairs there. I think he's wanting to push into Memorial. He's going to do it, and he's going to take down Charla there with the F2. Moves in, gets himself an angle through to Laundry, which will allow his team to aggress forward. Meanwhile, Geo finds Canadian. We've just got them trading in either direction here. Bolo and NJR directly take each other out. There's the swing from Pamba, but the trade comes in again from Achieve. 2 versus 2. Eclipse in a position to potentially get the diffuser down here. He's got Hyper on the cover, and I think he might just stick this. Des, he should have time. Achieve is coming in, but he's going to be too late. There goes the impact nade. He's low health, and he takes the death. It's 2v1. It's all up to Geo. About 10 HP left. He cannot even take a bullet here, and that is exactly what will happen to him as he steps through the door. Hyper finds the kill. DarkZero protect the diffuser, and that is going to be another round for the team in purple.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. It's where it starts to get spicy, because we came in again assuming that we wouldn't see DarkZero particularly holding a candle to TSM, not less because it's on TSM's home map, but because it's TSM versus DarkZero. But 2 rounds on attack out of the first 3 is a wonderful start. And just a heads up that we will have a quick tech pause here. Bolo just leaving the game to rejoin us in a second. He's had a small bug, but once that's addressed, we'll be back into the game in no time at all. We will return back to the start of the cycle, Ace. We're going into Aviator games, and hopefully TSM have more success this time round.
They just weren't able to stop DarkZero pushing into site there. It was Charla in Memorial who just got absolutely gunned down by Pamba, who went in, and just all the pressure flooded in from behind. It just ended up, you know, all the strategy went out the window. It just came down to gunfights erupting everywhere, in and out of sight, people going down left, right and centre. Let's see who's left standing. And unfortunately for TSM, the 2 that were left standing were the 2 that had very low hit points at that time, and it really put them at a disadvantage when trying to fight back on that retake. We've got a game sorted out. We're back in now. It's going to be a quick turnaround. We're going to be Aviator games this time, with TSM defending this for the second time. Defended it back in round 1. DarkZero, interesting push. They came from the south side and they came from red stairs. TSM had invested a lot of utility on the north side to potentially stop a push coming from that direction, but DarkZero just didn't play into it. So I'm interested to see what TSM do with that this time. My guess is they're going to have a little bit less over that side.
Well, it more came down to that 1 versus 1 against Canadian at the end, from the 2 versus 2, not really going the way they hoped, to a 1 versus 1. So, although I really thought TSM had done the hard yards in the early to mid round and got the control they needed, they shut down the red push incredibly well with a good flank coming out of Bolo too. Ultimately, it counted for naught as the gunfights were being won by DZ. So personally, don't feel they've got to change absolutely tons here in order to be successful. Just don't let them slip through the net as you did previously, else you will get another earful coming out of Troy. Of that, I have no doubt, Tim.
The thing is, you can just see how much it means to him. You know, yes, he's won the competition before, but, you know, all that sort of stuff doesn't matter because he's here to win it now. That's the point. And it just bleeds out of him and it feeds into the team. And, you know, I'm sure that it really does get the pulses racing and fighting towards those victories, especially when you've had a tough start to it as well. And if you start feeling like you've got that confidence, you're playing better, you've fixed a few things, it's certainly going to drive you to do more. Now then, DarkZero looking like they are going to push into the north side this time around. There is some utility expended over there. We've got some reinforcements. We've got some players that are located in that direction, but they don't have the mirror to play into, for example, this time. There's a little bit less sort of active utility there.
Absolutely. I mean, with this full clear off to start with, yes, it means you've got more of the map to work your way through, but it also means you should be able to cover your backside. Here it's less about the backside, it's more about Merc already greeting them, because previously it was more perimeter play and looking to meet them as they got further into the building. But for Merc, it's as soon as they've stepped inside of the room itself, he's already looking to contest. They've whittled through a number of drones already for the attackers, but it won't stop Canadian getting the entry onto Merc. And with these 2 being the IGLs, that means more to Canadian than you'll ever know.
That's going to give them the advantage, 5 versus 4. Bolo still playing underneath, but I think Pamba's aware of his position here. He's just going to hold on this window for as long as possible. If Bolo tries to rotate or move across, luckily for him, he's going to head in a southerly direction. Finds NJR, but immediate trade there. Well played from DarkZero. Good team play. It's not ideal to lose NJR, but what happened there was the comms were instant. Bolo's killed me from living room, so then immediately Pamba knows he's moving away from me. I can get a freebie. In he goes, picks it up. Nice trade. Well played, DarkZero.
I feel like we saw more trades in these first few rounds than we saw in the entirety of M&M versus Empire early on today, where trade play was just not a thing. It often came down to the individual skill. So really interesting seeing the difference between this inter-region matchup and the one that we had earlier on today. With that control on the north side established, DZ can now start thinking about the execute. The problem is, Tim, they've only got about 40 seconds left to do it. They're going to be a bit forced here, a little bit pushed in to say, right, you haven't got time to mess around here. Direct to site is the way to go. They're going to open up the vault and then potentially look to get something going on down 90, whilst Hyper, as he has done before, will be the one trying to force his way in through Aviator door. Achieved is on the downstairs, mind you, and I think he's still got a C4 in back pocket. Yes, he does. So they'll have to watch out for him, because if he's got a good read, good information on where the plant's going down, he could be lethal.
Achieved manages to Achieved manages to find Eclipse. A good kill for TSM to slow things down here. We've got once again a game that is going wild in front of us. Time is ticking away though. Canadian has Diffuser. Doesn't even really have time to attempt the plant there. TSM managed to just burn enough away. The goo mine coming in clutch for them towards the end of that one. And DZ, they get no further ahead. 2 for 2. The thing is, you've got to look at it this way. They're going to expect TSM to get 4 rounds on defense. That's pretty much your benchmark for a defense on Villa. DarkZero have already got there too. They're the ones that have reached the benchmark. If they can find one more round here, it's been a successful attacking half.
Absolutely. And it really is. It's easy to look at it and say to DarkZero, hey, you guys are just too slow here. You're not getting the pace you need to. Look at the different layers of problems that TSM made for them in that round. The first one was them even trying to get inside the building. You have Merc inside Trophy and Statry firing a bunch of bullets, burning through 3 drones, really grinding them down to a halt. Then they got in towards Red, and there was a couple more things to worry about. There was Achieved on the downstairs, for example. There was Hyper having to hold the Aviator door for them because they needed someone to be ready for a rotate to come in. By the time they got everything done, set up, control of top floor with a couple of drones downstairs, they were down to 40 seconds. They didn't have time to go and deal with the Chief, which is why he found the freebie onto the Ace when he came walking into the building. So I don't know if it's more of a bit of a one-directional focus from DarkZero, 2 site-centric and not worrying about those below, the perimeter rooms, for example. But that's where I think there needs to be some more control. But then I imagine the immediate response coming from DarkZero would be with what time? There is essentially none left. 3 minutes does disappear before you know it.
Round number 5 then is going to see TSM back over on the north side. Trophy and statue area, site that they successfully defended back in round 2. They pretty much gave DarkZero the lower floor. We'll see if they choose to do that again. Maybe with that sledge being off the board, it is DarkZero's ban, but maybe it just gave them a little bit of confidence in doing so. Achieved is playing down there for the time being, looking to challenge on towards Laundry Door possibly, but he just dips himself away. But definitely going to be playing in that dining kitchen area for the immediate future, so certainly not giving up quite as much to DarkZero this time.
DarkZero really counted on this being downstairs itself as a site. I think because they saw how things went down in round 2, where TSM quite confidently won, I don't know, or just looking at how it went down in round 3 where DarkZero won, they were like, well, maybe they think they can correct things there and they'll try and bait us with a step back into dining and kitchen because it is available. They've got 9 breaching rounds on side. The IQ to use from below to shoot gadgets out through the soft floor. Again, just feels like they've kind of read into this a little bit wrongly, rather than expecting TSM to follow the same rotation of sites.
Pretty coy first minute so far, as there's not really been any direct gunfights, any challenges onto each other. DarkZero collecting information here, but you've already touched on time for them, Des, and they need to make sure that they're not letting it run away from them. We're certainly not at that point yet, but we are coming towards the halfway mark, towards that 130. You can see the drones still buzzing around at the feet of NJR. I think they're just still a little bit concerned for the potential of Achieve. They don't know where he is at the minute, Des. He's slipped away into the basement, and it could be a big problem for them. They're not droning down there. Obviously, time is a factor in that. Canadian's going to come in to join NJR and start taking those gadgets out, but Achieved could pop up and cause a problem at a moment's notice.
What I kind of see as an issue here is NJR and Canadian are on the downstairs. They've got the control, but they've still got drones going in ahead of them before anyone on the top floor makes a move. When NJR controls dining kitchen already, you don't need drones upstairs. Well, you do need drones, but you don't need to also be droning further in downstairs and wait for the all clear before you go in. If he's got control of that room, no one is going to see for you. Step forward, get to work on a wall, do something. Because right now, all 3 members of Pambazu, Canadian, NJR on the downstairs have been sat on drones for the longest of times. We're down to 45 seconds. They haven't looked to getting the triple wall opened up. Canadian's got himself below, and I think has removed away the key gadgets that were slowing things down for them. But there's no Mute, there's no Kai, there's no Bandit. They've got to make the move happen.
Hyper does so in finding that first kill onto Bolo. That might just get things moving for DarkZero here. Could be the catalyst. They're starting to get that triple wall opened up, at least the access that they need. Achieved has made a little bit of mess of his flank there. He does make the challenge, but he runs face first into NJR downstairs and takes a ton of damage, trying to move back up Astro. He will manage to re-peek and find NJR. That's great play from Achieve there. Hyper finds Merc with Geo onto Eclipse in the mix as well. Canadian 2v2, 2v1. It swings from side to side here. 3 seconds left to go. Hyper, no chance. TSM somehow able to hold on in the slew of kills that DarkZero managed to find.
I think DarkZero, I mean, I called it in the mid-round. They just made it a bit too predictable to know what was going on. Okay, they've opened up Master Wall at the 60-second mark. They've got no time to clear anything else. What are they likely to do here? Now, they're probably going to push in towards the triple wall and come in through Master Bedroom door. So DarkZero just sat them, sorry, DarkZero, TSM just sat there and said, if you want to come, then go for it. We're ready. You had Charla chucked in ready with the smokes. You had one or two of them, I think when you had, I think it was Merc who ran back up towards Astro stairs. Two of them challenging onto Astro window as well. It's just a bit predictable right now. TSM are reading DarkZero very, very well, responding to what they're doing. And on DarkZero's side, they're not doing what other teams have done, which is acknowledge there is a problem, such as a Roma, or that they are running short on time and going, okay, the risk we have to take here is we will step into Master Bedroom and start opening walls up and looking to make a play before we fully got downstairs control. We've got a player in there who can choose to fight someone. We accept that as a risk. They're almost following the checklist a bit too strictly here, Tim, and I think that's what's really slowing them down. Yeah,
maybe just need a little bit of flexibility within the round.
That's it.
Sort of make those decisive calls and just go with it. NJR was unfortunate there on the challenge. He got lucky to begin with. He was the benefactor, if you will, of the siege timing. He was just coming out of the kitchen at the right point when Achieve tried to make his peak, but then somehow on low health, Achieve come back from more and got that kill. And those are going to be the ones, those could be the fine margins, Des, that lose this for DarkZero. It's 3-2, it's close, it's tight. Every gunfight matters.
Here's a classic for you, Tim. A living library defense with an extension up and towards Aviator gains in the hold inside of Vault. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make bold claims, as others may have done, that Europe was the first to pioneer this, or saying that NA were the first to open a certain wall with Habana on Oregon. We have a little throwback to that one. What I'm seeing here is what we saw back in Europe, where I think it was Vitality and BDS were some of the first to pioneer this, where inside a vault you can open up some really good holes that essentially see down to the north side of Living Library. You can stop plants going down inside of the site, as Charla is wonderfully demonstrating for us right now, and stop any kind of north push from being successful. You can then always look to fall down the main stairs to contest anyone trying to push in for a south side plant. That's where Bolo's playing right now, and it just gives you really, really good, healthy control. Hyper just jumped into Art Studio, by the way. If he gets the push through here onto Bolo, that breaks this whole thing wide open, so he's got to be very careful about where he plays.
Bolo has dipped himself away onto main stairs, just taking a prone position up so he can hold a tighter angle. There's two on the downstairs that are just looking to push a little bit towards DarkZero's lines, I think. The mirror being used just for trying to pop the drones out of the air. Still 7 drones available on the side of DarkZero, so plenty of information coming in for them. A couple of those will be Twitch drones as well, so that just racks the total up even further.
Double air jabs on that door as well, coming up from the basement. Beautiful stuff. I love the mirror window, by the way, here, because normally you're relying on those on the vertical plate to make this work. A smoke can deny everything. What a shot! Merc standing up and eating a face full of bullets from NJR. A second coming in as well. A much better start for DarkZero, Tim, because they've got 2 kills and we've still got 80 seconds to play. Beautiful
exactly stuff. What they needed there, just taking 2 down. 5v3, DarkZero can level this up at 3-3 on the scoreboard. Hyper just coming together with Bolo there. Both managed to escape with a similar amount of health. Charla manages to finish him off though. Pamba finds Bolo, so neither of them live much longer after that fight. 4v2, effectively 4v1. It's all up to Achieved. He can do nothing, Des, as Canadian shuts him down, and DarkZero managed to take a level half. 3-3 on the attack of Villa. Ooh, could this be boding well for them?
It could, and it's looking really good, right? I mean, it was good that they got the first couple of kills there because that set things in motion. You saw a couple of things happen once those 2 kills came in. First one is, they went a little bit deep in terms of Hyper. He went charging his way through the site, past the mirror window, and paid the price to Charla, who was still behind him in Mudroom, so not droned out to the west. At the same time, off to the east, inside Red Corridor, you had 2 members vaulting through the single window and start their push forwards. They were a little bit slow on making that action happen, and this is what I spoke about with, I want to say it was Oxygen yesterday. They see an opportunity. Yes, it was Kino on this map. You see an opportunity, you charge through and get 2 kills.
Confidence Kino.
Confidence Kino. The other 4 members of the team, they spring into action. The second he calls, I'm in sight, I've got control, they all make a move. The rest of DarkZero there were a little bit slow on the uptake. Admittedly, we're probably saying, well, there's 3 left. Let's not panic here. Still take things slowly. But I was just a little bit nervous that Hyper might get himself caught out by going too deep. And sure enough, Charlotte did find 1. Thankfully, was traded out and gives DarkZero a good 3 rounds in the first half. Now they switch on to the defensive side and now start things off in Aviator games with a very similar lineup to what we saw all the way back in round 1 from TSM.
Okay then, Aviator Games, as you say, will be our starting point for DarkZero. We've got 2 over on the north side and a lot of utility again, just the same as was played into previously. DarkZero basically avoided this by coming up red stairs. Very similar setup though. We'll see if TSM give them the pleasure of heading in from that side or whether they decide to circumvent.
I want to say the second mirror is probably inside of Games Room. No, I can't see it on the wall looking in towards Study, which is normally where it would be. Maybe it's looking in towards Aviator. Yep, there it is. Thank you very much. Easy. It's interesting they've committed one all up towards the north side, and I believe they've also taken the Bandit up there as well, right? So looking at ways to deny away the triple wall, to give them a mirror facing in towards Astro. This is a lot of utility towards to dedicate towards trying to keep the attackers at bay. But TSM know, again, it's a problem they've got to try and deal with. So where the same sort of issue was created by TSM on the defense, they've now got to attack into one that's arguably twice as strong up towards the north. I just hope we see DarkZero back away in good time. They have no downstairs control, so nades can start singing.
Eclipse is going to find himself on the wrong side of one of those. He takes half of his health away there, as Achieved manages to find his man, but just not quite close enough to be lethal. Canadian, however, could be lethal here as he creeps his way up from the basement. He knows that Achieved is operating underneath now after Eclipse takes that damage, so it's just a matter of time until Canadian decides to try and push himself into the kitchen to make the play that could end that vertical pressure from underneath. For the time being, TSM have got themselves good control of the north side, looking to aggress on into 90 corridor, and this is where they then start building pressure onto site itself, using that map's door, potentially even gaming room door, to get themselves on there and try and find lines onto those anchors.
That one nade from Achieve basically ended that whole roam in record time, blew up all 3 of the electric charges, put Eclipse down to half HP, and the team must have said, look, you've got to C4, just get yourself back to site as fast as you can. We'd rather you be alive here for when the push does come in. So good of him to back away. It does give TSM the agency now to start their push forwards, but the big bad Nadian, he's like a wolf, but one that gets put down by the hunter that is Achieved. A nice opening kill, and what would have been a very deadly flank has been shut down incredibly quickly.
A very important part of the play there from TSM, closing out Canadian, because it could have been a big moment. It could have been very dangerous for them to have him moving up the flanks, especially with the time remaining, because TSM don't have a choice now really but to continue this aggression in towards site. Achieved, he's going to take the hatch out. He was hoping to catch Pamba with it, but he will be unsuccessful. Bolo, however, manages to find Hyper with a nade. Pamba's just put himself in the line of danger there, and Merc proves why as he finds the kill with the F2. NJR trying to aggress onto him, but Geo's getting the diffuser down right now. TSM are in full control here. 5v1 could be a flawless round. No, that will be avoided as NJR manages to find the melee kill onto Merc, but that is likely to be all that NJR will find. Taking a ton of damage in the process. More shots rain in. It's Charla that finds him, and that's going to be TSM with their first successful attack.
A very convincing one at that as well. Again, they dealt with the roam setup coming out of DarkZero in record time. This is the difference I was speaking about, where in previous rounds you saw DarkZero droning for what felt like a lifetime just to make the most simple of moves of stepping into a room or getting a nade in a key position. What do they do here? Straight inside, even knowing that you've got Canadian out on the roam, they get a nade underneath, force the mirror back and step forward from there. They have flank drones set up to watch Canadian. Otherwise, all their attention is towards the site. They hit it in good time, they find some critical kills and get the plant down. Much more timely, aggressive and pacey coming out of TSM than what we saw from DarkZero in the previous few rounds.
It was the split pressure as well, north and south side. Once they've got that in there, they've got Merc out on the balcony, and it just made it a nightmare for DarkZero. They are going to go back to Aviator Games this time. Slightly different setup as they don't have the mirror here. It's going to be the Goyo instead, so I would expect to maybe see a little bit more attention to site this time.
Also got Canadian being the one stepping off the Bandit, giving that over to Hyper, who's been their go-to entry, and he will pick up the mantle of playing the Goyo. With the Jaeger and the Wamai on side, it does feel like we stepped back about... God, when was the utility meta really in full swing, Ace? Good, 6 months, 12 months. About 12 to 18 months ago, really, actually. Yeah, it was a good while back. We are seeing some iterations of this still in use, in the same way we're seeing Mute and Mozzie be a thing, but like you and I have really commended the dev team for, we don't really see an overwhelming dominating strategy anymore. It's more like in pockets or in niches on specific maps by specific teams. Makes it good fun.
It's more about having a style and doing it well.
Yeah.
At the minute, it's like anything it feels like anything can work.
Yeah.
Feels like anything can work, and that's always exciting.
Which I love. What I do like about this is really, in a strange way, TSM have kind of put themselves into a corner. They banned away the Flores that would be the go-to counter to this kind of setup. Now they've got to deal with a lot of anti-utility. They've got to deal with shields as well. There are 4 of them on this side of DZ. They don't really have the tools outside of throw nades, of which they'll have to burn through ADSs, magnets, you name it, if they're going to be able to make good use of the utility they've got to clear away that sort of, utility on the other side. It's just utility versus utility.
Utility.
I've said that word so many times, I think I'm going insane. It could just be that it's been another long day, but I think I'm going...
I mean, it has been another long day. We do plenty of them at the group stages. We love it. We wouldn't have it any other way. It's exciting watching all the games, casting the games. It's always good fun. But we do get a little bit delirious sometimes by the end of them.
We can do. I know yesterday got a little bit wild. I was like mourning the loss of my iPad when it died on me. I was like, no, come back to me. It is fully charged today. It is more than usable for this series. Pleased to report. Let's see how things shape up. DZ holding on to the main stairs down towards the south side for now. Canadian coming up the other side when he realises, well, there's not going to be much use for a C4 given where TSM are pushing in from. Achieved has got that control downstairs once again, so even without a nade-bearing operator, he's got some damage. Bolo steps up but immediately gets traded out by Pamba, who's down to a simple amount of 5 HP, being pressured by Merc, but wins that fight and holds on to main stairs, keeping himself as the king of the hill.
That's what DarkZero needed, because all the pressure's coming to south side here, and south side you can't really push in until you've cleared main stairs, because think about what happens next. If TSM just go into study to try and get through to site, they're going to get hit from behind by the Jaeger on main stairs, so they have to get that cleared out. It's not an option really. DarkZero showing the importance of that. They're doubling down on it, Des. They've got Hyper there on the Bandit as well. They've got the Goyo shield in place. 55 seconds left to go. TSM, I'm not sure that there's a way through this for them. Ace manages to get in and clear out that shield. And that is as simple as that. Moves both of them along, but that fire's going to burn for 10 seconds, and we're going to find ourselves down to about 35 seconds before this TSM push can really find its teeth.
They haven't cleared out the shield as well on maps. Like, this one is a real bugger to deal with. If it's not dead, they'll hold this pixel angle, they'll sit someone behind it, and you become a little bit entrapped. We commented on it earlier on, but a great step in. Eclipse bringing down Geo. Probably a question as to why Geo swinging by himself there, because the diffuser's now also down and cold. Charla looking to step his way through, wanting to use that shield against DarkZero, but it feels more like a bait, to be honest with you. They're looking at it thinking, oh, we can use that, and DZ are like, no, you cannot. Eclipse, a second great shot coming back through. Achieved is all alone. This looks to be a DarkZero round. A second swing at the bat, and they will be successful. A closeout by Hyper. DZ bring the score even once again.
Much better defense. Interesting that both of the defenses that stacked up the utility heavily on the north side were the ones that failed, Des.
Yeah.
The two that focused on site were the ones that managed to get it over the line. DarkZero leveling things up 4-4. It was a nice defense from them. TSM just lost too much when trying to take those main stairs, and DarkZero were able to hold on. So well played from them, and it brings us to 4-all. And you just know that this one is going to continue back and forth like this. Neither of them willing to give an inch. Looks like we might just have a timeout here. It is indeed going to be TSM taking that. Obviously just deciding they need to slow things down a little bit here. So far, there's only TSM that have had 2 rounds in a row. They won round 4 and 5 back to back. Other than that, it's always been alternate.
I did quite like the small moments of team play in that round from them, right? 2 pushing on the bottom side of main stairs to try and contest the 2 players that were there. At the same time, 1 swung in from study door to try and contest in the same direction. But Pamba, as I said, was king of main stairs, did not want to give up his land, and held on very firmly. And that really decided the round from that point forward for TSM, whether they liked it or not. So here, clearly a few things they feel they can work on and get coordinated in time for these next few rounds. Not forgetting, this is TSM's home map pick. DZ coming into this game, many were saying, not particularly high expectations, but they are matching TSM blow for blow, and they're on the defense. It's not a bad place to be in if you're DZ.
It's not really, no, because as we say, you know...
Sucks to be a BDS fan right now.
We do, you know, expect to see the defensive side of Villa have a little bit of an advantage, but that said, it was 3-3 on the first half, so we never know. As you quite rightly touch on there, Des, this does affect the other teams in this group as well. As we said, we've got Elevate, BDS and DarkZero all sort of fighting over that sort of 3rd, 4th, 5th and jostling as to who's going to finish where. 5th place, of course, will go home after the groups. At the minute, correct me if I'm wrong, Des, but it is 1 point for BDS, 2 points for DarkZero, 3 points for for Elevate. So they're all within a point of each other, if you will, or 2 points if you look top to bottom.
Yep.
So very, very close. In a system that can give 2 or 3 points for a win, that keeps us tied up very, very tight. You know, every point is going to count here, and DarkZero currently sat on 2 points. You know, you look at it and think, wow, you know, if they could get the 3 points for a 2-0 victory here, put themselves up onto 5, you sort of think they're going to be looking safe for a 4th place then.
This is the difficulty, right? Tomorrow, you're going to have Elevate playing against TSM and DarkZero against Furia. BDS, this is their last game happening on the B stream right now. Whatever they get from here, they're going to have to stick with. It then comes down to the other teams and how things play out. In a way, TSM and Furia tomorrow become the deciders of BDS's fate, and that is a scary concept given how DarkZero are currently playing against TSM. Merc and Hyper to kick this round off are not too far away from each other. A couple of walls between them, but they won't know that right now. They will do very soon, I'm sure, when they start coming to heads on things. We are downstairs in dining and kitchen in case you didn't quite clock that just yet. Hyper moving his way back up towards the top floor. Well, up through top floor, back up towards being above the sites to join Pamba, who's trying to hold it down against the aggressors that are TSM.
Gio is just sat outside of Laundry at the minute, around the corner. He's got Diffuser in hand, which would suggest that is potentially where the final push, the final execution is planned to come in from. But obviously there's work for TSM to do before they get there. They're going to want to clear top floor, make sure there's no vertical angles to hold Gio away from getting that plant down, and also try and pick up any roamers that have extended into Living Room Library or anywhere else in the map. But top floor is their focus at the minute. There's 2 players, I believe, from DarkZero up there. We've got Canadian just up and down red stairs as well. Eclipse and Pamba, indeed, I think, are both up on the top floor.
Oh, Merc.
Here we go. We could have a little mix-up between Merc and Canadian, but Canadian just overextends, exposes his head, and Merc removes it for him. But Hyper, Pamba, they come in, trade and counter. Bolo finds NGR. Des, every round is like this. They just go toe-to-toe and punch each other until one of them drops.
That's how it feels. The IGLs especially. I swear Canadian and Merc just cannot stop meeting each other in these rounds as well, and it's always pretty early on. Traded out immediately there, Merc, as you see, both can now call for their teams from the back line. Not a bad spot to be in. Bolo almost finding himself gunned down from above, but still standing. 3 versus 3, and TSM have still got buckets of time to work with here, to be fair, Tim, but only 1 frag grenade left to their name.
Bolo, like you say, has got himself inside a sight there. He's potentially in a position to help Gio get this plant down. This could be a little bit cheeky here. He's watching the vertical angles, and that's exactly what Gio's going to do. DarkZero aren't aware of this, Des. They're doing absolutely nothing to stop it. But Eclipse comes over at the very last second and manages to deny it. There's a Falcon cam feeding info as well. Bolo takes it out. He can collect the case and try to go again, which is exactly what he's going to do with only 15 seconds left. But this is not going to be easy. Still verticals to play against. He does, however, secure it. Bolo downed very shortly afterwards. It's up to Achieve. He's effectively 1v2. He flips to the Gon 6. That's not going to do him any favours, Des. DarkZero able to get in. Eclipse manages to get the disable on the diffuser there, but they might have been kicking themselves to letting Bolo get that down to begin with. It was only a fraction of a second afterwards that they were able to take him down, but one way or another, by hook or crook, DarkZero get it over the line.
I know you're the kind of man that will always talk about you didn't get the verticals, boys, and absolutely not. They just said, look, go direct to site, don't stop at go, don't collect $200, carry on your march. And to be fair, once you've got that lateral control, like, why not try and find a spot where you can get away with this plan? But you're seeing why it's so pivotal to have some form of vertical control or a way of denying it. DarkZero using the verticals beautifully and then rotating down red stairs to come for the contest. They find themselves 5-4 against TSM, and just like we've seen from most other teams at the competition so far, we're going to step into our 4th site. It's going to be Living and Library. All 4 sites being used by the majority of teams. I love seeing that amount of variety. So far, DarkZero have not stepped into Trophy and Statuary, so who knows, maybe we will go there next. At least in this round, you've got the Warden coming on side, so 2 shields on board once again. A couple of C4s alongside the Bulletproof. That Thunderbird, always an interesting one. We've seen so many varied uses where it's used out on the roam, somewhere all 3 are grouped together on site, and people just run through and...
I think it was Elevate that started with that one, wasn't it?
I loved it.
Yeah, it was fascinating to see the roamers just sort of dashing down corner alley as they just got juiced up by 1, 2, 3 as they ran past, and off they went again. It was like a little pit stop for them.
Get yourself refueled and back out on the roam. Yeah, absolutely. Turns yourself into basically having a base that's got like a med center for you. It's incredible. Let's see though how things go. TSM really got to start bucking their ideas up here. They made a couple of trade-offs in prior rounds that DarkZero have then really pressed and taken the advantage of. For TSM, I expect a south side start here, pushing into study, breaking open vault and forcing DarkZero off this top floor is probably going to be part of their plans given how it worked out for them last time in the previous round. Spoiler, it didn't work very well.
Pamba just looking to maybe take a little bit of a peek and get aggressive for DarkZero there. That's maybe what they need, you know, just take a round by storm, just grab a kill at the beginning and give themselves that advantage while they try to hold on to Aviator games.
Just grab a kill, Tim, just do it, yeah.
I don't see what the difficulty is. But after taking his initial shots, the barricade shot, he's not going to overcommit to it, and I like to see that. Nothing wrong with giving it a try, but don't overcommit. Pamba drops back and he's keeping himself on the main stairs. Eclipse is inside of Aviator as well to try and hold them off the balcony. It's quite important is Eclipse's position at the minute because he's the one that stops Pamba being rushed, basically, and when he's being challenged by Charla as well, he can't watch the study side himself, and this is the idea. You challenge main and you push into study at the same time. There's nothing that main can do about both, but Eclipse is there as an important part of that defense to hold them out.
Really getting stalled in here, but the difference again here that you're seeing for TSM compared to what we saw from DZ is whilst the work is going on above, Charla is also pushing his way into piano and looking to contest. So there's two things going on at the same time. You're not waiting for one to finish before starting the next. That's the thing that I felt DarkZero missed on some of their attacks. Hyper here, hoping to be able to swing himself out. He's just got the angle basically lined up. I don't know if the man sat down at the bottom of 90, you can see him here. Surely you can see a pixel of a leg or something stepped out, gets drone through. Now the push starts to creep up. It's Merc coming in for the challenge. Will he see the man? Yes, he will. Hyper didn't expect him, and he's going to lose it out. Merc to get one, but yet again, he has been traded out. Every time Merc finds an entry, there is another member of DarkZero there ready to back up the unfortunate benefactor of the death prior to trade it back the other way. Now TSM stepping on the gas, find two more, and a 4 versus 2 kicks in.
Getting broken into pieces right now, DarkZero 2 versus 4. As you say, trades is something that they've done very, very well, Des, and if they can continue to do that, it at least keeps them fighting in it, but this one, it hasn't been possible. Charla's going to find Eclipse now. It's all up to NJR in a 1v4. I'd expect TSM to think about how they can get inside of sight and start getting that diffuser down. The nade goes in. It's going to force NJR into a dead end here, Des. He's cornered, and that is when he may just be most dangerous. He's full health on the smoke at the minute, but he's being held from the hatch. There comes the drop. He manages to get him, but that now leaves them aware of exactly where NJR is. Gio's getting the diffuser down, almost certain to be successful. Flashbang is out, will not catch NJR, and he's trying to fight out of a box here, Des. There's absolutely nothing he can do. He's got lines of sight onto him from both sides. Bomb chassis shuts him down, and that's going to be TSM closing it out on the bottom floor.
5 apiece, keeping it even, Tim. That magical word overtime feels like it's going to start looming over this game any second. We are guaranteed to see all 12. This one, a little bit better coming out of TSM. I mentioned how they were looking to do multiple things at the same time. They were taking control in certain areas while getting control up above at the same time. That just kept the side of DarkZero a little bit stretched, but I need to come back to it. That's the 3rd round in a row. Merc has found the entry and then been traded out straight after. That is a really good sign for DarkZero that they're playing together, always in close proximity of each other. In fact, I believe it was Pengu who once said, generally you should always be within 3 seconds of each other so you can play for that trade.
That's it, it's important. I think, you know, the LATAM teams excluded, it's something that everybody, I say excluded, it's something obviously the LATAM teams can do as well, but we do know that the LATAM teams, they play a little bit more solo because they are very confident in their mechanical skill, and they will quite often win the 1v1.
Empire are exactly the same.
You know, they'll quite often win the 1v1 gunfights. If you're that style of team, you can sort of get away with it, but like you say, you still really are going to benefit. Even if you don't necessarily need, you're still going to benefit from that close contact with somebody else.
I mean, think about it. Empire do it, M&M do it, Na'Vi do it with Doki, for example. There's a lot of teams that do play that kind of independent entry, the one who wants to push forward, go aggressive. Just like how, again, we're seeing these different stylistic tendencies between different teams. Aviator games, we step into. For round 11, will TSM take it and move us to match point, or will DZ take it and move us to match point? You'd rather it be TSM here, I'd say, because otherwise you're looking at a defender advantage, knowing that TSM are then going to attack a site of the choosing of DarkZero. They could go to Dining and Kitchen again, or they would be able to go into Living Library, or they could step into Trophy and Statuary. That's a lot of choices they have on their side with which to try and bait TSM into a less than optimal lineup in exactly the same way that TSM caught DarkZero with those 9 breaching charges attacking a top floor site.
Merc and Achieve stacked up near the laundry. Bolo looking over towards the Astro window for the time being. So I would expect to see some north-sided pressure with a little bit of underneath vertical play as well. Pretty much stock standard for what we've seen so far. Bolo's not messing about here, does he? Gets himself inside. Just going to complete that reload, so he's ready to go and looking to move through now. He's got a drone going ahead of him. We've seen this from Bolo before. He picked up a 4K when he did it previously against Fury, and now they've also just picked up on somebody playing underneath. It's going to be Canadian on the Ella there. He's been spotted out, and it's maybe time to get himself out of dodge, but the challenge comes in quickly from Achieved, and this is something TSM have been doing well so far, Des. They recognise where somebody is, and they get somebody there quickly to deal with it.
It's either a flank drone or they're actively droning him. It's not so much they're committing people to go and hunt him down, they're just letting him come to them, but always making sure he's being caught out by drones. It is really, really good to see coming out of TSM. Bolo's got himself on 90 now and starting to work his way forwards, droned in by Geo. Again, something else this team has done very well throughout the competition is this droning in your big key entry players. For now, he's in a pretty key position. It's on the rest of the TSM team to catch up. Achieve sat in study. So slowly they are boxing in these site players of DarkZero and looking at what the next step is going to be. For now, it's clearing out Volt, sprayed through the drone hole, not going to find himself going down. If they're not careful, DarkZero Eclipse might be in a spot of bother here. A grenade rolling over the top, not connecting onto the man, but the wall is at least opened up.
More Habana pellets will be applied to allow proper access into the vault. 90 corridor now being pretty much completely in the control of TSM. Canadian's still active underneath there. He's not actually moved himself back onto a flank yet to be able to make a challenge. 45 seconds left to go, and time will not last forever. He needs to think about doing so at some point. Eclipse has been forced out of vault here, so he's just trying to front up and play right onto map's door, but it's not going to be easy. He's supported by the smoke, and he's in a tough position now. He's backed into a corner. Merc is going to go in. He knows that the man is there. Merc's going to take a ton of damage as he takes a lungful of that toxic babe canister, and the ping comes in to let him know where Eclipse is playing. He gets the kill. Charla finds one. NJR manages to finish Merc with the toxic babe canister. 4 versus 3 now, and it's up to TSM to try and get in and get this diffuser down. They get a kill. Can they get another? Yes, they can. Geo's planting. TSM, they might just do this at the finish line as they're looking towards that map point, and they're going to get it. It's Bolo pushing them onto 6. One more round, TSM. One more round will get you Villa.
They're looking really good so far. These last couple of rounds especially have really warmed into things. Again, they've now got to face against an entire 4-map choice or 4-site choice coming out of DarkZero. They're going to take a timeout. They know that one more round means they get themselves through to overtime, and that is where things can really turn on its head. They have that choice of sites. They've got a good amount of time to have a discussion on both teams here about what is the game plan here. How can we surprise the other side? We'll see what the impact of that looks like in just a moment. For now, it looks like more of a chat amongst the team themselves rather than BC weighing in, just looking on at his players, knowing that Troy is in control here as the IGL and they can figure this one out.
Well, we've got to look back to the last tactical pause as well, which came in from TSM. It was just before round 9, but of course, when you take a tactical pause, the other team get the opportunity to speak as well. It's not just down to the ones who take it. And on the back of that last tactical pause, DZ came out and won the next round. So they've shown a capability to, use that time well, to see exactly what's going on and to come back with a plan. So, maybe they do that here and they come back into round 12 and they can manage to take us onto overtime. That's going to be an achievement against this TSM side who have picked Villa, who are good on Villa, and DarkZero are really stretching them here, possibly pushing them all the way into those added rounds. At the minute, it's going to be the 12th round. We're just about to get back into things here, and I think we're going to be playing Trophy and Statuary as our last site.
Interestingly, DarkZero haven't gone here yet throughout their half. They've been to AVG 3 times, they've been to Dining and Kitchen, and they've been to Living and Library. So I hope TSM are ready for something a bit different here, because this one they may not have seen for a while coming out of DarkZero, given it is one of their least favourite maps. It's worth stating for DarkZero, although we're all sitting here doubting and saying, oh, surely they can't beat TSM. To them, I doubt they really care about upsetting expectations. To them, it's about the points. As a reminder, we've already touched on it once, they are stuck in a dogfight with Elevate and BDS to be a team that makes it through. For every map that you win, you get a point. If you go 2-0, you take 3 points. The lion's share all comes your way, and it can be a great way to keep yourself going as we hear cheers once again erupt on both sides of us, some from the casters, some from the players. Sounds like a very exciting game over there as well, Tim.
Certainly does. Elevate and BDS. Of course, I mean, it's worth mentioning if Elevate win 2-0, you know, none of this is really going to matter for DarkZero in terms of qualification. If that's the case, then BDS won't collect any more points. They don't play tomorrow. They won't be able to catch up to DarkZero. BDS will be confirmed in 5th place in the group if Elevate can win in 2 maps. So DarkZero really fighting for their life over there. I've
just heard as well about the score that happened over there. Elevate won 7-2 against BDS in the first map.
So it's do or die for BDS now. 1 point will tie them on points with DarkZero, but probably not enough because obviously they had the loss to DarkZero. So I'm not going to say that it actually confirms it at this point, but that's somebody else's job to do. But it's certainly looking dire, is what I will say.
This is where now TSM don't just become the kind of adjudicator; they now become judge, jury, and executioner tomorrow. Because BDS need to win 2-1 to get 2 points. And even then, that doesn't catch them. They can't catch Elevate now, I don't think. No, they can't catch them.
No, they can't. No.
So, DarkZero have got today and tomorrow to get 1 point. It's done, Tim. I think BDS are.
Give or take.
They are actually done. If DarkZero win a single map in this series, BDS are done.
DarkZero are trying to do exactly that here in round 12. They're trying to keep themselves alive and push this one into overtime. It'll be a best of 3 rounds if that does occur. DarkZero on their final defense. Eclipse has taken himself all the way down to the basement. TSM currently looking to push themselves into dining room and kitchen and try to get some ground. Charles has taken some damage along the way. He's the only one. He's just below half health on about 40 HP. Hyper currently holding on behind 2 deployable shields, trying to make it as difficult as possible for TSM to get into bedroom. Oh no! He's found his way into one of those frost mats. He may be picked up, but NJR goes in for the finish. Merc does start things off just prior to that with a kill on Canadian though. 4 versus 4. And TSM, they're hanging by a thread here if they want to win it in 7.
They've got rid of Canadian at least as well, so sort of a 1-for-1, but you've lost Bolo. You've lost his nades in this case, died with both in back pocket. You've lost the Finker Juice that has helped them quite a bit throughout these rounds. It's stinging. And now Geo, down to about half HP, swung onto by Hyper. It's looking a little bit dicey. Trying now to get these off the wall, can't remove every single one, so 4 will go through. Now it's about holding down to Masterware. There are 2 or 3 members of TSM starting to crawl all over it like a spider over its web as they start to close in on DarkZero.
Just applying those Wamai magnets liberally there to just try and catch as many throwables as possible that might come in so they can continue the defense. Caught out from the red stairs though. Eclipse, I picked him out at the beginning of the round in the basement. He's coming from behind. Can he get himself another backstab? Probably not. He's been spotted out. He finds Geo for 1, and that is now all down to Merc to do this on super low health. Picked up by Hyper, and DarkZero in the round. Des, we're going to overtime.
Oh, I've been dying to hear those words all day, Tim. So glad it's come out here and now. DarkZero, they have to attack twice. Not that it matters too much, because across both halves, we've seen a 3-3 split. The 2 teams, you can't separate them no matter which side they might be on. But TSM, they get the choice of sites here as well. That can arguably be the difference maker. They're going to start things off for us inside Trophy and Statuary. It's like throwing all the way back to the start of the map. On map 2, we saw a castle setup coming in. We're seeing a castle here once again, and TSM love bringing that mirror. That's going to return along with the Jackal.
Right. Trophy Statuary for TSM. Let's have a look at TSM's defences on Trophy Statuary. Round 2, round 5, both of them successful, Des. They were able to just sort of handle DarkZero, I think is the best way of putting it. Round 5, it was a little bit slow from DarkZero. They did manage to get themselves a flurry of kills in the mid-round, and that seems to be always what it came down to for them on this site. It took them a long time to prepare, but then they were just sort of scrapping in the mid-round for what they could get, and TSM able to hold on. Let's see if they can do the same again. Bolo is going to be out there just applying some cams to study, so there's going to be a presence on the south side. Maybe Merc himself achieved his coming over. Bolo was just there for the utility of the job. Gio's going to be castling off the closet, so again a focus onto Master from TSM as well. They know they're potentially going to face pressure from all sides, basically.
Going back to the issues I had with DarkZero in the first half. Not being willing to step into the next phase of the round before the current one has been complete, i.e. they took a long time to get downstairs control, and only then did they really make a move up on the top floor. I want to see him channel some of that TSM energy, be willing to take a couple of risks here. Don't worry about the roamers, get flank drones on the go and deal with them when they come to you. It does of course require you actually watching those drones, and that's another issue altogether in itself. But pace is what I'm looking for here. They're starting things out on the south side, 4 members all pushing in from the study side of the map and being contested currently by Achieved and Gio.
Gio just very quickly opening up some last-minute holes there with the shotgun to give himself the angle. Out comes the Nitro. Hyper manages to avoid it, Canadian, and he can continue the push into study, but they're going to have to deal with Achieved and Gio. Gio's just making himself a little bit mobile. He's actually going to drop back to elbow and push into short in 90. Just relocate himself a little bit, but he needs to be careful because Pamba is on red stairs at the minute and could be a thorn in the side. He's got himself back to sight. Murky's going to drop back as well, so it's pretty much all on Bolo underneath at this point.
I think Pamba was hoping to catch Bolo on the retreat back through red, but he's taken the long route round, gone up through Living and Library instead, and will just come back up Astro stairs. So a good fallback. You've drawn in a bit of time. You've drawn utility, like the Ace Salma's coming out, for example, an EMP. Started well for them, and they've lost no one in the process. So a good start for TSM. 90 seconds left for DZ. They've got to get a wiggle on now, Ace.
They really do, like you say, time ticking down, and they're not really in control of anywhere in the map that they need to be. Bolo takes the jump out. Can he get his man? No, Canadian just reacts quickly enough and takes Bolo down. That's the Valkyrie gone, and that's advantage DarkZero. But as we've said, Des, time has been the issue for DarkZero on the attack sometimes, and it could be their downfall again. They need to get moving, get control, get confident, and start pushing towards site. Coming into the final minute, it's advantage DarkZero, but it is a fine margin.
Oh boy, Canadian finding Merc as well. Again, the IGLs just keep on clashing throughout this fixture of 5 versus 3. No Achieved, a massive 2K coming in on the jump out, catching them completely unawares and equalizing things once again. 40 seconds to play. This is where things can fall apart for DarkZero. They've lost 2 of the big members in this round that they really needed to be counting on, and it will come down to NJR, Hyper and Pamba, the 3 more fraggy members on this team, to make a difference.
They've got to find the frags. That is the key here, Des. Pamba moves through. Can he find Castle? Absolutely not. Gio takes a lot of damage and then is put down. Hyper moves on, looking for the next. They're not interested in confirming kills right now. They want to confirm plants. Achieved knows where he is, sees the gun barrel, but NJR and Pamba, they've got the cover, Des. They've got the kills, and they've got the round. Round 13 goes to DarkZero. They are ahead once again, and they could finish this off on the defense here and now.
Like I said, Tim, they need one map in this series or tomorrow's series, and they will be through to the playoffs. They are 1 round away after so many looked at them in the first 2 or 3 play days and said, what is this, DZ? Why are you playing like this? It's not good. Well, it doesn't matter whether you can see it as good or bad. They're about to secure a spot in the playoffs. Of course, the actual position is still to be determined. They could hop up towards seconds if things carry on. But right now, they've got to focus on what's in front of them. And that is this round, round 14 in Aviator Games. If they win this now, God, they'll be having a nice little relaxing time in the break, I guarantee you, because someone will probably grab them and say, boys, you've done it. You've secured your spot. Now go out there and get more points.
The thing is, when we get to the end of group stages as well, you look at these games, and quite often we talk about games that in terms of the standings don't always, mean too much because standings might be locked in. But the point is, in a tournament like this, it always matters. It's always important. Because we've said it before, and I'll say it time and time again, I'm sure. Winning is a habit. No game here is meaningless. You don't come into your last group game thinking, we don't need a win here, it's fine. Because that loss before the playoffs could be the one that just breaks your momentum, that just breaks the mojo of the team. So you really do need to just keep pedal to the metal, keep going. If you're finding wins, keep on finding them, because it is a habit, it is a mentality to just keep that winning rolling. You've got that belief then that no matter who steps into the server with you, they are going to be beaten. Merc is going to take a few pot shots onto the study window there, not catch anybody. You never know what you might find through a barricade, so it's always worth a couple of bullets. We do see it occasionally, but for the time being, DarkZero keep themselves safe. They're going to try to lock this one out here and now.
Sure enough, Shell. Looking on the defensive side, once again, it's Canadian off on the roam, by the way. That Malusi just stuck in Narnia somewhere underneath the rest of the map for the rest of the team. DZ actually playing quite tightly packed together for once. There is no extension up towards Trophy and Statue. There is no roaming below with a C4. There is no intent to slow TSM down. So DarkZero, in a way, just kind of conceding the map to TSM straight out and saying we'd rather play this one a little bit more safely. We're confident we can win on the site itself, so why risk losing a member or two out on the roam? It'll be about chewing through these drones. That's going to be a big thing for them. They've just found 2 in quick succession, but the more you starve TSM of that information game, the better. I'm not concerned about TSM's time use here as well. We're still 1:45 on the clock. They're just about getting themselves into red landing. Bolo looking to push his way down 90 once they manage to force these members a little bit further back, and there should be no point of concern.
Halfway into the round then, don't have an opening kill yet. Hyper back into Vault, TSM take 90 corridor, pushing onto Elbow, and their attack is going well so far. Pretty much the same as we've seen them do previously. They'll try and get Geo down here with the Hibana, more than likely open Vault, make it difficult for the defenders to play inside of there, and then try to push map store and get the diffuser down. But there is certainly work to be done, but Bolo might just be able to find one here. Desi spotted him through the drone hole. Doesn't quite get his throw right, it just bobbles back at him, and Hyper, he lives to fight another day.
Have to work on his pitching arm there a bit, I think, Tim. Hyper still sat in present. They need to get this opened up, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't just spray the top open and at least force him out of Vault, because that would make life a little bit easier. Another impact comes through, blows it off the wall. They've still got 3 impacts to play behind. This could be a real war, but Pamba has his own war going on downstairs. It's achieved, taken off the board. A great start, because that's the buck as well, Tim. They can't open up the floor so easily anymore.
Absolutely not. They're going to have to maybe find an alternative here. As you say, the impact nades just continue to come out. 30 seconds left to go, and they can't keep dedicating time to trying to open Vault. Hyper is going to take a lot of damage, though. That forces him back away from the challenge he was making onto maps. Merc just looking to clear out utility from behind that Vault door to clear out the plant spot. He takes his shots into study. Not going to find anybody at this time. Pamba! No, it's actually NJR that gets the kill. NJR with another. Charla finds Pamba. NJR with 3 days. DarkZero are riding into a Villa win on the back of NJR here in round 14. Bolo goes in, spraying with the LMG, but all that happens is the clock ticks down, and DarkZero take that round, take the map, and take a first step towards victory against TSM.
Not just that, Tim, but most importantly of all, they guarantee themselves a spot in playoffs. BDS will not be able to take them out of this position, and with Elevate taking 1 away from BDS, they cannot catch up. BDS are done. DarkZero, what a recovery against a team that no one had you winning, not alone least on their own map choice. It was Villa being picked by TSM, yet they've come in, 8-6 them, and this could be the start of something beautiful, Tim.
It certainly could. They're going to be going into Coastline for the next map, and it's something that's a little bit unknown from both teams. We don't see a lot of it, but it's going to be an absolute brawl, of that much I am certain. But what a finish for NJR there. 3 kills at the end to just drag that one over the line.
I got so excited thinking it was Pamba that hit that shot as well. I was like, if he'd hit it, it was an absolute screamer, and my scream was justified. I'll take it with NGR getting the shutdown at least as well. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. That really does beg the question now, going into the next 2 maps. Could this be a 2-0 to DZ? They're looking pretty good.
You wouldn't have thought it coming into it. Obviously, DZ have struggled a little bit so far, but I love to see them waking up now.
Well, it's the time to be waking up. No more snoozing for them. Again, it's all about the impact this has on the playoffs as well. I know that it kind of already decides the group, but it sends a message if you're a DZ fan or a TSM fan, or even just a global fan. You get to see a good bit of siege between these 2 NA teams. We'll go to a quick break, and when we come back, map number 2 awaits us all.